You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 26th meeting of the Michigan City Animal Control Board. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good afternoon. Welcome. This is the second quarter meeting for the Animal Control Board. Today's date, Wednesday, June 26, 2024. Call the meeting to order. It is 12:32 p.m. We will do roll call. Let's see, where's the... Yeah. Chairperson, obviously present, Dave Cooney. Karen Edwards.
Present.
Present. Dr. Rex Bailey is absent. Councilman Przybylski.
Present.
And Director is absent. Approval of the minutes from the first quarter 2024 meeting.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. We will discuss previous business. Long-term custody animals, bond notice, and it was discussed at the last meeting about the cost of an animal per day to take care of at the kennel. Talking with Animal Control Officer Dunham, he's advised that there's a bond notice that we typically post with the prosecutor's office if we're holding a dog long-term for like a court fee or a court investigation. Mm-hmm. He actually advised, I know I said to you it was $50, it's $35 a day is what the bond notice is. So what happens is that gets lumped into the court costs for the owner of the dog if they're in a court battle. They are offered to surrender the dog so that we can put it out to foster adoption, but it's their discretion. So if they deny it because they want the dog or even cat back, mm-hmm. then we just retain it, but they have to pay that fee through the court system. So that's where we are with that.
Okay.
Discussion on that?
Yeah. Do you think, Chief, that that's a reasonable?
I mean, I would lean more towards the 50 a day. I got to make sure that it's not either a county law by the prosecutor's office or a state law, but I'll check in and see if that's something that we can adjust or if it's set already.
Yeah.
But I'll find out for sure.
Okay. Can we know that by the next meeting? Yeah.
The way that we do it at the shelter just is we go by like if they've been vaccinated, cost of care as far as feeding them, staff that takes care of them, we take all that into consideration and come up with a certain fee for that. So, and everything else has gone up, so.
Yeah. That's the thing, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everything else has gone up, so,
now.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
sure.
So with this bond issue and $35 a day, mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know who figured that out or if that's just a fee that the court put on the bond that they have to pay. So it could be more than $35.
Correct, yeah, that could have been set, 10 or 20 years ago,
right.
so it may be something worth looking into
Yeah.
that maybe we can adjust it. So,
Yeah, I definitely would.
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
So I will look into that. From the last meeting, Diamond was brought up. That was the animal that we had for a long time that we gave a deadline to Animal Control to basically find a foster or we had to basically euthanize, I believe was the motion. They were able to find a place for Diamond. So he's now somewhere where he can be away from other animals, but he is fostered out. So
good.
That was a good outcome.
Yep.
Any other previous business?
I don't think so.
Not that I can remember.
Under new business, Director Euler, following the last Animal Control Board meeting, we had a meeting with personnel. She did submit her resignation unfortunately due to the health issues she was having. So she did step down as director. And then the end of May, Animal Control Officer Martin also resigned. And we'll now be with Animal Control. We are, except,
Wait a minute, Chief.
sure.
Yeah, I knocked the microphone on the floor. Supposed to have an article. We can fix that. There we go, I got it. I will not do that again, Andy.
We do have about 11 applications in. Several of those are either for the director position or the animal control position for Van Etten. Speaking with personnel and the mayor, I think for the time being, we're not going to fill the director position right now. We're going to go with just 3 full-time animal control officers. That seems to be a way for the kennels to run properly right now, so we're going to go that route. So we're going to hold off on the director position and then just have the 3 full-time. Instead of 2 full-time and 1 part-time, we'll have 3 full-time animal control officers working. So we're going to do that for the time being.
Yeah, and that'll make it better, like, do they work in some kind of rotation? I don't know how they
Yes.
work.
Currently, like Officer Dunham works Monday through Friday. Officer Planky works, her days off are in the middle of the week, so she's here on the weekends, which helped out tremendously for us because that prevented a lot of that overtime of having to cover the kennels on the
Right.
weekends. So she's here on those days, so she's off typically on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then what we would do, that third person would probably fall in line there as well, probably some other offset. So there's always probably 2 people, 2 animal control officers working all the time unless somebody's on vacation. That's the plan, is to.
Yeah, so it works out better
Yes.
versus having a director. Would that director then that would have been like the Monday through Friday
Correct.
person?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't work on weekends or anything like that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot better
Yeah, I
than
like the
3
flexibility.
people.
Yeah.
Having 3 people.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, hopefully I will be calling. We're gonna narrow down some of the applications and start interviews. Hopefully either Friday or early next week. Get that third person going. Review of ordinance 4733 for boards and commissions. I forwarded these to you, Council President. I'm sure you're aware of this. It was written by Mayor Angie, all boards, commissions, and committees of the City of Michigan City. Ordinance 4733, general rules of all city boards and commissions. Looking over, it's just clarifying what we need to do as a board. So agendas and minutes. I've been basically as the chairperson, I handle the agendas, and then I type out the minutes and then they get approved. So we're good there. I think there are some other boards that maybe weren't getting them in time or whatever the situation was, but I'll continue to handle the agendas and then submitting to these new email addresses what needs to be done for our board. There is the number 2 conflict of interest disclosure form. The conflict of interest form is attached. Each member of the board, each board is required to fill out the same one on an annual basis. There is a digital copy. I also printed off a paper copy. Did you have a chance to do that? So that's already taken care of, so we're all good there. And then social media. There's a comment that the city administration will now be solely responsible for establishing and administering all social media accounts for the city. Our animal control board does not have a social media account, so we really don't fall into that. So animal control does have a social media account and they'll retain that and still use it properly. And again, it's kind of like the Michigan City Police Department's account. They post when they have like, hey, we found an animal or any events in the city, they'll be allowed to continue to do that.
Are both AC officers in charge of that, or is it just?
Chad is the admin. We're working on getting Michelle access as well. So they both have access to post things.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, that should be handled. Any questions on this?
No.
I think we follow this anyway. Our conflict of interest disclosure forms are good. And again, we don't really fall into that social media category. Any other new business?
I just have a couple items. As far as the new kennel goes, we've been talking about a kennel for a while. Where do we stand with that, or what direction are we going with
So
that?
we met with Daryl at Central Maintenance, and we talked with Andy Metanek and Terry Zaborla.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chad presented a proposal of what we can do with the money that we have provided, and we're hoping to do that fabrication of the kennel internally with the city, with our own labor and whatever, not outsourcing it to another entity because of cost. So as of right now, they're reviewing it to see if it's doable. It's really just adding a smaller extension off the back of the existing kennel for an office space and a bathroom, and then just revamping a little bit of drainage and some doors and things like that inside the kennel. So hopefully to do that with that $100,000 that we have. So that we're seeing.
How much?
We're budgeted for $135,000 out of
Okay.
ARPA funds.
Okay.
The mayor did request that we reduce that to try and get everything done with $100,000. So we're trying to do that. And again, that was another reason to try and do it internally with city employees and not outsourcing it, because it's impossible for an outside company.
Yeah, are there going to be more kennels in there? Do you need more kennel space?
Don't think we need more kennel space. We have 7 currently. I don't think I would say 10 at the most is more than we need. The more kennels we have, the more ability to have more animals, and then we need more people to care for these over time. And I don't think we're in a position to have even more animal control officers to care for more animals or continue like a long-term care.
Yeah.
I think we're doing really well right now. I think right now we only have 4 canines in our kennels, and they're constantly being moved in and out, which is great. We're not holding any long-term canines like we were, so that's good. I mean, if you think we need more kennels, I mean, it's something.
No, I was just, I'm not a kennel builder or kennel director, or know how many kennels there should be for a city of 32,000 people. And I don't know what the animal situation is, with the animal control. I just asked the question to make sure that when we move forward to build this, revamp the kennel, that we make sure we have enough kennel space. If we need one more, maybe, we put one more in there just for the sake of, we got the extra space if we ever need it, or if we do need it and we don't put the kennel in, then we're going to be saying, why didn't we do that? So that's the question, and I was just looking towards the future.
Yeah, hopefully Officer Dunn does end up being able to make it, because he's the one that kind of redeveloped the plans for this, so he could maybe explain that a little better.
Well, I don't think you guys plan on starting any construction anytime
they said
soon, do
the
you?
earliest is probably going to be in the winter or early, probably January.
So he'll be here at the next meeting anyway.
Yes.
To talk about that. Okay. But at least we can put that on the agenda
Pending, yep.
to talk about.
Are they building cat cages? Or putting cat cages in there to separate?
We are trying to do that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to have them separate, because right now they're all in the same area.
Right.
You don't want that, so yeah, that was part of it. And then adding a wash bay, because a lot of times these canines come in, they need a bath and whatever. We really don't have the ability to do
That's it.
that, so we're going to add that as well.
Okay, good.
Isn't that what causes the problem with the floor getting wet?
There's an
Slipping
issue
and
with the
sliding.
drainage and stuff, yeah, so that's on there too, about redoing the drainage, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's more of a safety issue, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, injuries and things like that. All right, and then, we didn't talk about it at the last meeting, but you and I have talked about it, and talked about it with Chad, about the feral cats. Because I have gotten a couple of complaints where I live on, people having feral cats and what they're doing to the neighborhood. The neighbors actually complaining to me, complaining to Chad, and I know the city's ordinance, when we looked at that, Chief, that there's a 2-hour window that if you want to feed feral cats, you can feed feral cats. for 2 hours? Is it a certain time frame, or is it just 2 hours during the day?
You can't leave food out for more than 2 hours
That's it.
to feed wild animals. It's a strange way it's worded.
And, I don't know if the city, and I don't know what a problem it poses, because that's the first time I've ever, well, the second time since I've been on the city council that I've heard an issue with feral cats in people's neighborhoods. And talking to Chad, he sees it more than I do in different neighborhoods, but there's really nothing. Well, there's something he could do if he's sitting there timing how long you have a food dish out during the day, but nobody in the world has time to do that. So, is that something that we want to take a look at from an ordinance standpoint and have the city attorney take a look at and see what other cities do with feral cats? Or I'm just opening it up for discussion.
Right. Because I guess my question is what happens, is there like a fine or something if?
There is, yeah. So section 14-13 of the city ordinance book explains feeding of wildlife prohibited. And under that section C, prohibited conduct, it explains about leaving food out for wildlife. And a lot of it is about the parks, city parks and whatnot, like city property. But then there's another section about just in general, all wildlife. So under, for definitions, it's basically anything that's not domesticated, which would be, feral cats, I would think. You're not allowed to feed them. And then a violation, the fine is $50 first violation, and then $50 every violation on top of that. So 100, 150, and it continues if you continue to violate it.
Okay.
So I think going to the 2 hour window, currently I have like the animal control officers are directed, if it's an issue, you're called there, get it on camera that they had food out for these wild animals, and then you just have to return 2 hours later if they still have it out. Now you have 2 times with the body camera that shows that, they're in violation. That helps with the prosecution of that fine. If we want to push that, you just don't feed, feral cats.
Right.
Is that?
Well, excuse me, I know another problem that we've encountered is the amount of feral animals that are out there. Years ago, I know animal control there's a mobile cat spay and neuter, and it honest to goodness did wonders, because it was a cheap, I think it was, at that time it was like $35 or $50 to get your cat spayed and neutered. But that's what I was talking about, that, it reduces the population. However, there's people that, feed the birds and they don't want the cats coming over, so they want them removed out of their neighborhood altogether. The question is, where do you go with them? And I would love to find out from other shelters, what do you guys do with, I know there's cat colonies, but they may not be accepted into that cat colony. So then you have this feral cat that's, has nowhere to go and nothing, I just don't know a solution for that. I agree that it is turning into a problem.
Yeah. Something that needs, in my mind, something that needs to be investigated.
Yes. And
Yeah.
there's a solution to every problem. It may not be what we want, but, there's got to be a solution to it.
Yeah, because I understand the feral cat. People love feral cats and they want to feed them. That's one thing. And then the people next door or 2 doors down, then these feral cats, and this is what I've heard, that they go over there and they go bathroom.
Exactly.
And then the dogs
Right.
go over there and they eat the,
Yes. Yes.
the
And then they could have parasites.
feces, and then they get sick.
Yes.
And then they got to take them to the vet.
Yes.
I guess with
Yes.
what happens there.
It's an ugly cycle.
Yeah, so I'm trying to look at both sides and trying to be fair to both sides.
Right.
But
I can understand both sides.
Yeah.
My heart bleeds for both, but I don't know what we can do to come in the middle and solve that problem.
yep, okay. So I just wanted to bring that up for our discussion.
No, I'm glad you did, because
Yeah.
it's turning into a problem.
I will reach out to surrounding agencies and municipalities and see what they're doing as
Yeah.
well. I would not be opposed to have that mobile
Yeah,
spay neuter
it did
come out.
a lot of
That
good.
help, I'm sure. Yeah. Check on that as well.
Dr. Peavy was her name.
So how does that work again? Karen,
The mobile?
the mobile unit.
What
So-
it is they would make an appointment online, and I believe her name is Dr. Peavy. They would make an appointment online, and they would bring their animals to the mobile unit, and set it up, like at 9 o'clock drop off, and then they would pick them up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, I see.
And then their animals, they get vaccinations too. I mean, they can get just the core vaccinations, they can get every vaccination that she has to offer. And it's for a lower rate, because that's what she does, is mainly does feral cats, because to cut down the population.
Okay.
So it's definitely worth looking into.
Okay. I think so. That's something that we could do for sure.
Yeah, is she out of Michigan? Where's she out of?
Last I heard, I believe she was in Michigan,
Oh,
but I'm not exactly sure where she's at now. She goes all over the place.
interesting. Okay. Okay.
Any other new business? Review of the Michigan City Animal Control activities for the first quarter of 2024. That would be from January 1st through March 31st. They had a total of 45 dogs brought in and 6 cats. Out of the 45 dogs, 35 were returned to the owner. 4 were transferred to Michiana Humane Society. 4 were transported to the LaPorte Small Animal Shelter in LaPorte City, for the county. 2 fostered to adopt through Michiana Humane. 2 transferred to Guardians of the Green Mile. 0 were euthanized for injury. 0 were found deceased. And 1 was euthanized for aggression from a court case. Out of the 6 cats, 1 transferred to Freed's Cat Shelter, 1 fostered to adopt through Michiana. 2 were found deceased, and 2 were transferred to Heartland Rescue. And that's all we have for those activities. The review of the intake reports, unfortunately, I believe Chad has those. It's basically these numbers, right? As Humane Society took 4 dogs.
Yes.
Small Animal Shelter took 4. Michiana then fostered 2. So same numbers, just laid out a little bit different, but Freed's took 1 and fostered 1 at Michiana. So those are all the numbers that we have. Any discussion on the intake numbers?
No.
Yep.
Any public comments? There's no one here. Public comments? Public comments? Public comments are closed. Board comments?
I don't have any,
I would like to
comments.
say Chad and Officer Denham and Officer Planky are doing a wonderful job. They're both in contact. If we have space for animals, they're just, seeing as how it's just 2 of them, I don't envy them because they're working their butts off, but they're keeping up with everything.
yeah,
Doing a great job.
yeah.
No comments?
No, I don't have any comments.
The only comments I wanted to do, obviously reiterate how well the animal control officers are doing right now. They're doing a great job. I did want to go over some numbers just to compare 2023 to 2024. Just for animal complaint calls for animal control, and that does include some of the officers that go out to some of these calls, but there were 544 animal complaints from January 2023 through today's date. And out of those 544 complaints, there were 75 case reports taken. And again, that means that animal control took some kind of action for the animals, whether it was, again, collecting them or it was a court case or whatever else. So there were 75 case reports completed last year for the first half of the year. For this year, we've gone almost 120 more calls for service. So for this year, we've had 661 calls of animal complaints. And of those calls, we've had 123 case reports taken. So
Awesome.
they're working a lot. They're out there. They're really trying to do that. And I think that shows a lot of what they're doing also with us only having 4 dogs in the
Right.
kennels too.
Right.
They're working really hard. I think a lot of that is just the way that Dunham and Planky are working well together, so.
Yeah, Chief, so those last numbers were just for 2024?
Correct.
Yeah, can you give those to me one more time?
So January through today, 661 calls of animal complaints. So that's like the public calling, or
Yeah.
we found a loose dog or a cat or whatever. So that's 661, and then out of those, 123 created an investigation. So a report was completed that they looked into.
Mm-hmm.
So. And usually a case report is anything where we're again taking some kind of action. There was a fine that was, given, or we took the dog or cat into possession, right? So we're documenting why we have it, who it's going to, and all that. So
Awesome.
that's all I have. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.